Okay, welcome everybody. In absence of the village president this evening, I'm Drew Irvin. I'm the deputy village clerk, and I'm going to call the Lake Bluff Village Board of Trustees meeting of Monday, September 23rd, 2024 to order and call the roll. Trustee Cole?
Here.
Trustee Fisher? Trustee Freed?
Here.
Trustee Hatch?
Here.
Trustee Rappin?
Here.
And Trustee Ryder?
Here.
And in the absence of the president, the board needs to elect a president pro tem for tonight's meeting. Historically, that's been the longest serving village trustee, and that is Trustee Ryder. So I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Is there all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Trustee Ryder, the meeting is yours.
Okay, thank you. Welcome. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you. We'll start with a couple of proclamations. The first is proclamation declaring September 24th National Suicide Prevention Month. Whereas suicide is a national and statewide public mental health problem which occurs among all age groups and across all socioeconomic, racial, and ethnic backgrounds, is the 12th leading cause of death in the United States and the second leading cause of death among young people aged 10, 14, and 25 to 34. And whereas in the United States, over 50,000 people die by suicide each year, and countless thousands of friends and family members are changed forever by losing those people. And whereas the stigma associated with mental illness and suicidality works against suicide prevention by discouraging persons at risk for suicide from seeking life-saving help and further traumatizes survivors of suicide. And whereas suicide is often preventable and is appropriate for a week, it is appropriate for a week to be set aside each year to dedicate our thoughts to improving the mental health of all Lake Bluff residents and raising awareness about suicide. Now, I, Susan Ryder, the Village President Pro Tem of the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, do hereby proclaim September 24 in Lake Bluff as National Suicide Prevention Month, as addressing the mental health needs in Lake Bluff of seniors, adults, youth, children, and families is fundamental to having a healthy community. Dated this day, 23rd, September 2024. Thank you. The second is a proclamation designating October 2024 Fire Prevention Month. Whereas in 2023, U.S. fire departments responded to 1.5 million fires, or one fire every 21 seconds. And whereas nationwide, there were 3,800 fire deaths, or one every 160 minutes. And whereas property loss resulting from fire during the same period totaled in excess of $15.6 billion. And whereas an enlightened and supportive citizenry can be effective in reducing both loss of life and property damage resulting from fire, and whereas the Village of Lake Bluff is committed to protecting its citizens from fire losses, and whereas the Village of Lake Bluff is served by an all-volunteer fire department which works with its residents to promote fire safety. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Village President of the Village of Lake Bluff, County of Lake, and State of Illinois, hereby proclaims October 2024 Fire Prevention Month in the Village of Lake Bluff. Village of Lake Bluff residents are encouraged to change the batteries in their home smoke detectors, form a fire escape plan for their home, and participate in continuing information and educational activities as of the Lake Bluff Fire Department during Fire Prevention Month and throughout the year, and to practice fire safety and prevention on a continuing basis, proclaimed this 23rd day of September 2024. All right. Item 4 will now go to the consideration of the minutes of the September 9, 2024 regular village board meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
And any discussion? Concerns, corrections? Okay, voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Item 5, non-agenda items and visitors. The village president and board of trustees allocate 15 minutes during this item for those individuals who would like the opportunity to address the village board of trustees on any matter not listed on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone who would like to speak on items not on the agenda? Terrific. You can come forward and be recognized.
Hello, my name is Janice All, A-U-L-L, and I'm a resident of Knollwood, which is unincorporated Shields Township. In 2023, I wrote and secured on behalf of Shields Township a grant from Lake County Stormwater Management Commission. The grant focused on addressing major street flooding and a ditch that had extensive erosion. Flooding from the grant required a 50% minimum match and actual dollars or in-kind services. In early August 2023, community volunteers, including several members from the Lake Bluff Open Lands Association, worked to prepare the site for construction. Volunteers used chainsaws, herbicides, and steadfast labor to remove buckthorn and other invasive plant species from the area. Construction on the Foster Avenue ditch was completed August 29th to the 31st, 2023. Construction included, but was not limited to, regrade the ditch and install check dams based on hydrology study results, install biodegradable erosion matting embedded with native plant seeds. From September 1st through November 12th, 2023, community members volunteered their time and installed 3 donated swamp white oak trees, 55 donated native shrubs, over 600 donated live native plants, sorted, cleaned, and scattered over 1 pound of donated native seeds. An agreement in the grant was to educate community members about the importance of capturing our raindrops where they fall and how to implement proper stormwater management, and also to involve the school children. The children enthusiastically dedicated their time in September 23 to install a fence while at the same time learning about and connecting with nature. The project was an immediate success and was meeting intended expectations. Even with the number of significant rains we've had, the flooding at the major intersection was eliminated. The native plants were getting established and doing their job to stabilize the ditch by slowing and filtering stormwater. And wildlife was enjoying the new habitat. However, on April 22nd, Earth Day, the township removed the fencing and the signs that were part of the SMC project. Imagine how the school children must feel when they walk past the site daily and see all their efforts gone. The township had no substantiated reason for why the signs and the fencing were removed, and they promised multiple times that they would not cut the area that had native plants and native shrubs. Well, 4 months later, on August 22nd, the township cut the full 700 feet of native plants and all the native shrubs to the ground. When we inquired as to why the area was cut, again, the township lacked any substantial reasoning or proof for the need to cut. I'm here in front of you because I'm confident that someone in the audience, either here or virtually, could hopefully persuade the township to follow stormwater management best practices as outlined by SMC and the recent laws passed by the state of Illinois and the Lake County Board. The laws specifically mention using native plants and sustainability features such as swales and biofilters to improve the filtration and quality of stormwater runoff, and also to convince the township to please use our taxpayer dollars wisely. SMC gave the township almost $24,000. The township spent almost $30,000, and this includes over 300 hours of volunteer time from our community members. Unfortunately, this project is just one example Shields Township has demonstrated over the past several months that works against being financially responsible and having a community atmosphere where residents work together to foster an eco-friendly, supportive neighborhood. Anything any of you could do to influence our township officials would be greatly appreciated. The township needs your help. For more information, you could go to this QR code or visit the project page on the All Nature Preserve website. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else, either online or in the audience, who would like to speak about something that is not on the agenda tonight?
If you're participating through the village's Zoom meeting virtually, please raise your hand and if you're looking to speak at this time. Otherwise, we can move on.
Okay. Now the village board will set the order of the meeting. Drew, is there anyone who has a matter before us that might want to move it toward the front of the meeting?
I think the item, the Yacht Club Rio approval,
Okay.
as well as 33 East North.
Okay, so number 14 on the agenda is an ordinance granting Rio Development Plan approval for the Lake Bluff Yacht Club. We'll take that one, and then we'll take number 13, a resolution approving and authorizing the purchase of 33 East North Avenue. Are there any others online? Anything else we might move?
No one is raising their hand.
Okay, that goes before the finance report or after the?
It would go now. You
Go
just-
now.
Provided there's no objection from the rest of the board.
Thank you. Is there any objection from anyone? Anyone dying to talk about the finance report first? Okay. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move forward with item 14, which is an item regarding an ordinance granting Rio Development Plan approval for the Lake Bluff Yacht Club, 503 Sunrise Avenue. Drew, do we have a administration report, or shall we hear from the petitioner?
I can give a quick summary. The project went in front of, let me back up. So the village approved a license agreement months ago, and that license agreement, the final plan approval is whatever ultimately is approved by the village through this Rio process. So that's in flux still. But the project, they made a presentation earlier this month at the ABR first, and they were unanimously recommended for approval, subject to final approval for the fence materials and some of the other materials coming out of the colors. They're still working on that in conjunction with the North Shore Water Reclamation District and the Park District. They also went in front of the PCZBA last week and got a unanimous approval for recommendation by the village board coming out of that meeting. So now it's in front of you for first reading, and you'll note that the conditions in there, there were some modifications necessary, I guess, anticipated that, again, the Rio tool, when it was invented, it was a rather, I'll say, blunt object, knowing that it was trying to fit over many, many different types of uses, and this being one of them. But so there's some slight modifications from the Rio metrics and standards within that code. But really the basic conditions are, they'll work within the approved plan set. And that's what the Rio process is all about, going through a process and getting to a point where everybody's comfortable with the set of plans. So we have members from the Yacht Club present, the Commodore.
Perfect.
I know Gretchen Seymour has a very brief presentation she's going to give for you all, if that's all right.
Welcome.
Hi, good to be back.
Hello.
Here with Scott Shapey, who's been my partner on this project, and Matt Glover, our Vice Commodore, is also present tonight. Yeah, it was actually December. It was many months ago that we were here, so we've been busy. And before we start, I mean, we could give the full version, we can give slightly abbreviated, like, I don't know how much you guys want. If highlights sound better than the full meat and potatoes, okay, great.
Probably, and we can ask questions along the way.
Perfect.
Great.
So here we are, down memory lane. That's how we looked. This is how we were this summer. This is the plot. So here we are. This is the design that is on the table, obviously an aerial view. So it makes up, there are 15 and a half storage bays or storage units for watercraft. That back wall, the west wall, are designed for stand-up paddleboard storage. The front center east-facing structure is for the motorized safety boats and gear storage. I think the key here is that our footprint has changed. As you can see in the northwest corner, those are the hatches and access points for the tank that cannot be covered, or they can't be covered permanently. They need to, NSWRD needs to have access to those. So it became kind of an interesting design challenge, how we were gonna make this work, and it actually became kind of one of those fantastic problems that became a great, I think, creative solution. Working with the village, folks on community members, the thought was, if we went a little more north to south, we could push back west and get the storage we needed, which is just replacing what we had. There's no more storage than what we had. But what it accomplishes, which I think village and residents are going to be particularly happy about, is we are gaining 1,400, 1,200?
Well, it's 14 feet back.
Yes, so we're 14 feet west.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's, I mean, it just seems kind of like win, 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 win. And just, you know, the eyesight views, all the things. So maybe we'll, unless we can go to the
Yeah, just
east
really quick
elevation.
if I may.
Yeah.
So the highlights, just like Gretchen said, they push west up against the toe. You can see that line, that kind of undulating line is, that's the protection to hold the toe where it is. The sheet piling that's driven into the ground there, that's what you heard a lot for those who live closer to the lake. But they pushed up against the toe, and they also went south, and they went from about 25 feet from the south shelter to now, I think it's, what's it, 12?
Or 12,
10,
yeah.
And, but that did, you know, they kind of just elongated everything, and that was the directive that they were given, and they achieved that design change and challenge.
Yeah. So here's a look at the kind of, what do we call that?
You're in the water looking west.
Thank you. The front elevation. There's all these fancy terms that Architect Stratif uses. So we think this is a kind of a nicer front-facing view, right? That structure we had, but it was back in the corner and it didn't have any kind of architectural element. So, you know, this roof that is shown kind of echoes the roof on the pavilion. The idea is similar color and style. As Drew mentioned, still to be worked out is the fence, the material, color, and again, there's kind of a collaborative effort, ABR folks going on with that.
Other than chain link. We're not doing
Well,
chain link.
that, it maybe, but the goal is trying to marry aesthetically very dissimilar structures, both visually and in function. So not easy to be done, but they're trying.
Right. Do you want to jump in?
This is your north elevation.
This is where this is above my pay grade. Yes. There is a grade change. Do you want to talk to that?
Yes, so after the water district backfilled the sand, there's a significant grade that's very different than what was there before. And so this is how we're dealing with that. It shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
Is that wet? Is that west? I'm trying to.
This is looking north,
Yeah, so that's west.
West on the
West
left.
is on the left.
West is on the left side, yeah.
So that's the toe.
and because we're not going down to the roof, to the lid of the tank, our piers there are these little Bigfoot
Bell design.
bell design, yes. So that'll help distribute the load in the sand.
Yeah, this is the new, instead of the wooden racks that we had previously, we're proposing this unistrut system, which gives us a lot of flexibility in that we can change, you know, that dimension. We can change to to accommodate different sized boats within it. So as our demand changes, as boats change, as interests change, we have flexibility to move things around. The rest of these, I think, are just really remind everyone the site.
These are some of the screening products they're looking at to incorporate it. And I think I've gone too far.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah. Whoa, Nelly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice bridge.
That's a nice bridge, yeah.
So happy to take questions and comments, thoughts.
I just appreciate all the work that you put into recreating the design and really taking into consideration what we had said previously. It turned out really well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I echo that. I'm curious about that corner that all the people holes, manholes that you have to get into. What can you do with that? Can you temporarily store boats there that can be moved when they need to get in there, or does it have to be just completely empty?
We can certainly, as a simple thing, we have the dollies that we need to move
Yeah.
the boats around, and we
Yeah.
can certainly.
You can put those there.
Put those there. We've talked a little bit as we look at the demand for paddle boards, is there a way or kayaks, is there a way we could put something that could roll around so that if the water district says, we need to get there tomorrow.
Right.
We could,
Seems like should be. As to capacity, are you at the same capacity as the old design, or more, or different?
We're hoping to make it more. I mean, we're just gonna be looking at the numbers and the watercraft and just, again, using that erector set to just maximize. Yeah.
Do you think you'll be able to meet all of the demand for storage from Lake Bluff residents?
No. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever be able to, you know, I think there will always be more demand.
Yeah.
I think there will always be more demand than storage we have, but this is a great step toward getting us closer.
Okay. Anyone, any other questions? Okay, I have a motion and a second, right?
Questions from the public?
Yes. Any questions from the public, either here or online? Or comments from the public? This is a first reading of the ordinance, correct?
Yes.
So the first vote we need to call for is a voice vote. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Okay,
All right.
Okay,
I
thank you
think
very
that's
much.
it. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you for listening.
No, thank you
Appreciate it.
all.
Good job.
Okay, number 13.
Okay, moving on to number 13, resolution approving and authorizing the purchase of 33 East North Avenue. I can get to that portion. Maybe Drew, you have it in front of you. You can give us the administration's report.
Sure, give me 1 second. Essentially,
See which one of us gets to it first.
over the years, the village has acquired property within its limits, both in the CBD and outside the CBD limits, to land bank property for future redevelopment. And why the village has done that is to reduce the number of owners in any potential future redevelopment, to control, be a major player in any redevelopment of any property. That's, as you know, the village was the primary property holder within the Block 1 redevelopment project. The village still owns property in the north side of Block 1 in the northwest corner. The village owns the Walnut property now, which really functions as, this board has talked about, probably not the highest and best use of that property, is kind of a community closet, both for the village and other non-for-profits. And the village owns the 10 acres next to CLC Jawa. And so this would go on the idea that the village would purchase this property, hold on to it. There's no specific plan at this time, but likely the village would follow an RFP process should that, come down the road. That's what has happened in the past. But as of today, there's certainly nothing imminent.
Continuing with the administration report that we had, you mentioned the Walnut Avenue purchase. That was in November of 2004. How time flies, right? It seemed like it's like 10 years
2
ago.
decades, yeah.
Right, 2 decades ago. But we purchased that property, and that is adjacent to the property here, near North Avenue on Walnut Avenue. And then this property is 33 East North Avenue. The other item that you identified is that we had an appraisal done, and the offer and accepted price is the price of the appraisal,
That is correct, yeah.
$462,000 for that property. As I understand, the village administrator is recommending the purchase to allow the village to utilize the property for a variety of possible uses, including but not limited to full multifamily residential uses, which is currently
It's
zoned
currently
for
zoned multifamily.
open space, parking, and other purposes beneficial to the business, to the village. Tells you where I have been all day, to the village. So with that, do we have a motion to consider the resolution? To approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Now, any further discussion of the recommendation here, the reason for recommendation on the board?
I fully support it.
Same.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board on this issue?
My name is Mark Stolzenberg. My family and I live at 16 East North Avenue, and we own the duplex at 14 East North Avenue. I speak this evening in my personal capacity as a citizen and property owner and taxpayer here in Lake Bluff. To be clear, I have no personal interest in any transaction at 33 East North. I've not placed any offers on the property. I will not be placing any offers on that property, and I otherwise have no desire to own it. To be very direct, my family and I continue our investment to renovate the existing duplex at 14 East North to provide the village with additional rental housing. That's a big enough project, and with that project, we're not really looking to expand our real estate holdings. The reason I'm speaking this evening is to identify my concerns about the village's proposed expenditure of $462,000 in the village's plans for the property at issue in this agenda item. The village is contemplating the expenditure of nearly $500,000 of public money on a piece of real estate in the middle of a residential neighborhood. $462,000 from our general fund when we have a significantly underfunded police pension fund and a sewer project that's going to require tens of millions of dollars. Why this expenditure and why now? Lake Bluff had an opportunity to buy the train station property. Many municipalities around here did just that to protect their train stations from potential development. Lake Bluff didn't. Lake Bluff has bemoaned the lack of development on Block 3, a prominent block in our downtown, yet the village took no action there. So why this property? What is the village's plan for 33 East North? I haven't yet heard one, but let's go through the reasons for purchasing that property set forth in the memo in tonight's packet. It gives a few possibilities for use, none of which are especially enlightening and which aren't entirely consistent with what Drew just mentioned. One is quote-unquote open space. That proffered reason doesn't make sense, particularly given the discussion about the comprehensive plan and the fact that the lot's on a residential street. I strongly doubt that the village is going to pay $462,000 to keep an open space on a residential lot. Another potential purpose identified in the memo is parking. But why would we bury a parking lot for the CBD on a residential lot with no direct access to the CBD? Especially when the parking study from 2022 reflected a surplus in parking here in the village. That also doesn't make sense. The memo references a catch-all, other purposes beneficial to the village. What's that mean? It's pretty vague. Drew and I had a brief discussion on Friday after the agenda and packet were published. Drew mentioned that the village didn't have any interest in being a landlord. I directly asked, does the village plan to demolish the structure? He didn't answer that question in the negative, and I left that conversation with the belief that that was the intent, but no other idea of what might happen there. So what are those other purposes? I also issued a FOIA request over the weekend to see what, if any, discussions there have been with the village about potential development of that property, either by itself or with adjoining properties, as the memo identifies multifamily residential purposes as another potential purpose. Drew represented there have been no such discussions, and I look forward to the response to that FOIA request. Moreover, the neighbors on North Avenue have not received any outreach from the village administrator about this potential acquisition by the village. I haven't heard anything. Why not have a discussion with the neighbors on North Avenue about the village's ideas and how this may affect the neighborhood? If your thought's development, why not talk with the neighbors when you're going to buy it? That discussion hasn't happened. So again, what's the plan? Until the village can give a non-speculative answer about these questions, you ought to question the need to expend $462,000 in tax money when there are so many pressing and expensive needs facing our village. $100,000 for pickleball isn't one of them. How is nearly $500,000 justified in this parcel, particularly with no clearly articulated plan for its use? Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to clarify one thing, Mr. Stolzenberg, Mark, just the conversation we had, we did say there was one group that had expressed interest in the site, the next to it.
Next to it, but not it.
Yeah. Just want to clarify.
Not that site.
Right,
611 Walnut.
yeah.
Okay, anyone else wish to comment or ask questions? Anyone on the board? As I understand it, this is a resolution, and so it will be a roll call vote. Let's see. Clerk, please call the roll.
Okay. Trustee Cole.
Aye.
Trustee Freed.
Aye.
Trustee Hatch.
Aye.
Trustee Rappin.
Aye.
And Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. All right, back to the agenda. Item 7, Finance Report. Our first item is the warrant report for September 10 to September 23, 2024. We'll get to that tab. Easy for me to say. Okay. The summary is that the warrant report covers expenditure of village funds for payment of invoices in the amount of $310,032 $310,032.07 for September 10 through September 23rd, 2024. Expenditure of village funds for payment of payroll in the amount of $330,424 for August 2024. For total expenditures of $640,456.07. Reports and documents attached are the warrant report dated September 10 through September 23. Invoice register report shows checks with status of open or paid. All checks with the status of open are computer-generated checks for the board's final approval, and checks with the status of paid are checks processed manually. And then second, the payroll report, fiscal year 2024, 2025. The village administrator recommends approval of the warrant and payroll amount in the amount of $640,456.07. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
That's to spend money, so that is a roll call vote. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Freed.
Aye.
Trustee Hatch.
Aye.
Trustee Rappin.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Cole.
Aye.
Okay,
Carries.
motion carries. The second of the village finance report is the August 2024 financial report, and I believe we have someone to present. Hi, Bettina.
Hi, good evening.
Thanks.
For August 2024, some noteworthy items found in the monthly report include the monthly sales tax revenue on a cash basis for August fiscal year 25 of $429,067, which is $98,276 or 29.7% greater than the FY24 cash basis receipts for the same period. However, note that next month's revenues are 11.2% lower, and overall sales tax is trending approximately 7% higher than last fiscal year for the entire year for that period. General fund fiscal year 25 year-to-date revenues of $5,624,175 are $401,333 greater than the fiscal 24 year-to-date revenues, and fiscal year 25 current expenditures are consistent with or less than budgeted for the total general fund. The fiscal year-to-date expenditures of $3,571,214 are $28,727 less than the expenditures for the same period in fiscal year 24.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
And second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion approved. Okay,
Correspondence.
pardon me,
Correspondence.
correspondence. Do we have any items, village administrator's report, village attorney's report, or village president's report? Are we coming back
Oh.
to that?
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No report from me.
Nor me.
Okay, nor me.
Wow. Answer?
Or Regis. Okay, as Drew said, acceptance of correspondence. Please note that all correspondence was delivered to the Village Board of Trustees in the informational reports on September 6th and September 13th, 2024. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Anyone, any discussion?
Voice vote.
Voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, item number 12 is a resolution authorizing a license agreement by and between the village and Chicago SMSA Limited Partnership doing business as Verizon Wireless. Looking for that item. Okay. A summary provided by the administration, Chicago SMSA Limited Partnership, doing business as Verizon Wireless, currently operates existing equipment on the village cell tower and in an equipment room on the west side of the village's public safety building located at 45 East Center Avenue. Verizon has applied for a permit to install a new fiber optic cable from the equipment room to the west edge of the public safety building property, where it will connect with a previously permitted fiber optic cable along Sheridan Road. This route was recommended to Verizon by village staff to minimize the impact to trees and other village property in the area. The purpose of the project is to improve the speed, reliability, and network coverage for Verizon Wireless customers, such as the village of Lake Bluff. The village attorney prepared the attached proposed license agreement to allow for installation and maintenance of the fiber optic cable while protecting the interests of the village. If approved, the installation of the fiber optic cable is expected in early 2025. The village recommendation, administration recommendation is for approval.
If I may?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
so this is, it's unusual to present this. We haven't done, in the 16-plus years I've been here, we haven't had a license agreement similar to this. 99% of the time that these are just handled within the right-of-way, utility permits in the right-of-way. And this particular case, though, we have been working with this company for a considerable amount of time because they provided different layouts that went through the village green, along the sidewalk underneath the village green, and we wanted to get them through a route that was least obtrusive in public spaces, that, as well as to stay out of the way of the trees. And so this is just a way that they can plug into the the cell tower with the least obstructive path, and they need to cross our property, and that's how we got here.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All upside, no downside.
And it was upon our request.
They asked us, and mostly because we declined to give them permits to go in all the other locations, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's the permitting process at work.
Yes,
That's
There
right.
it is.
yeah.
All right. Did we have a motion yet? No. Yes.
Let's see,
We have a
no, you do not.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, wait, roll call. Roll call vote.
I don't know if there's any other public comment either.
Yes, public comment on this issue.
All right.
Going to get through this meeting one way or another.
Okay, roll call now.
Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Okay, trustee Hatch,
Aye.
trustee Rappin,
Aye.
trustee Ryder,
Aye.
trustee Cole,
Aye.
and trustee Freed.
Aye.
Okay, motion
carries.
carries. We are now to item 15, trustees' report. Do any of the trustees have a report?
No.
I just want to thank the Yacht Club for coming forward with a proposal. There was a lot of discussion over the last several months about how we could make the beach even better than it was before. They've got a nice proposal for the facility, and then also give us a few feet of a beach area for people to enjoy. So thank you to them and to Commodore Seymour in particular for their diligent work on that. I think Scott Stratoff was the architect, and they've done a really nice job. Okay, with that, I think
You have the executive session minutes.
executive session minutes, item number 16. Can I have a motion to approve the executive session minutes from September 9, 2024, executive session?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Have we covered everything we need to cover, Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Administrator? All right, I got my gavel.
Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion adjourned.
Well done, well done.
All right,
Well done.
thank you.
Good job, Susan.